Hi everyone. So today we're going to go over assignment 1. So the first part of assignment 1 goes over growth. So that's the theme of this whole package. You'll find that each reading or assignment that we do ties back to growth in some way or form. So first we're going to expand on what growth means. So on the first page there of your assignment, it says your first task will be to think of what growth means. The definition of growth is the process of increasing in physical size, the process of growing, increasing, learning, or expanding knowledge or complexity in a skill. So what you see on the bottom of your page is that. And all you need to do is write ideas of what growth means to you. When you think of growth, what do you think of? And you're just going to put in 10 ideas. So today we'll go through a bit. So when I look at that definition, the process of increasing in physical size, the first thing I think of growth is me growing big. So me growing in height. I also think of me like aging, like growing in number. Like when I go from 10 to 15 years old. What else we got here? The process of growing, increasing, learning, or expanding knowledge or complexity in a skill. I also think of growth in like plants. So like plants growing, like growing a garden. But I also think of like right now, we're learning. We're like growing our brains essentially. So I also think of learning. And I also think of, other than just learning, say math or ELA skills, I also think of like growing like as a person, growing mentally. So like when I was 5 years old, if I didn't get my way, I would cry. Now that I'm older and when I don't get my way, I don't cry anymore. Maybe I get a little upset, but I don't cry and throw a tantrum and throw myself on the ground. So that would be like emotional growth or mental growth. So I think of, let's write mental growth. Mental growth. And emotional growth. So there I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I wrote 6. Those are some of the ideas that I think of. You need to write 10 on yours. And these are worth marks, so write whatever comes to your mind. These are your opinions. Your opinions aren't wrong. Write down what growth means to you and what you think of when you think of growth. All right? So that's your first part. Once you finish that, flip the next page and move on to the next part. All right, let's move on to the second part of assignment 1. So the second part is, once you flip over the page, you'll find the reading on the medicine wheel. So I drew here the medicine wheel on my fancy, snazzy little whiteboard. So I drew the medicine wheel that you see on your page. So I'm sure this isn't new to you, but we're going to cover it because you'll have a task to do in the next part. So the medicine wheel, it's a sacred indigenous symbol. It's used to teach many different teachings within the Cree culture. Today we're going to learn about the 4 aspects that make up a human being. So like me and you, these are the 4 sacred areas that make up a person. So we have the spiritual, the emotional, the mental, which we also call intellectual sometimes, and the physical. So this is all written down in the reading there, but we'll go over them. So the spiritual part of us, this is the part that's fed by ceremony, sacred teachings, talking to the Creator, speaking, praying to the Creator. This is the part of us that's inside of us that we can't necessarily see, but we feel it. This is the part, our spirit. Maybe we want to say our soul even. This is the part that we feed through ceremony and talking to the Creator. The physical part of us, that's everything we see and touch. So like my physical body. It's our physical being. So like I said, we can touch our physical being. We can't touch our spiritual being. I can't physically touch my spirit, but it's in me. So there's our physical being. The mental and intellectual, right there. That's the part that we're feeding right now. The part that we learn when we're in class, learning new teachings. That's the mental and intellectual part. It's where we think and learn and know through reflecting. So now we have the emotional part. That's the part of us that feels emotions. We feel happy, we feel sad, we feel anger, and it's through this part where we learn how to navigate through those feelings and emotions, because it can be really hard. And growing this part, without this part, we would just always be throwing tantrums and being mad all the time. So growing this part of yourself helps you navigate your emotions and know when you're sad, and know that it's okay to be sad and it's okay to be mad, and you learn how to walk through all of them healthy. So in the middle part, there's balance. And once we feed all of these parts equally, ideally we'd like to be in the middle and we're in balance, because all the 4 parts of us are fed. So I think this is the most common known way that we see the medicine wheel. There's many different ways that we can look at the medicine wheel and lots of different teachings, but this is the most common known. So now on the next page, you'll see the tasks that you have to do. And what you need to do is write a sentence about how you or someone would experience growth in these aspects. But we need to remember the punctuation rules that we learned in the first homework package that you received. So let's quickly go over those. A sentence starts with capital letters. Names and places have capital letters. Those are called proper nouns. A sentence should have a full thought, like, I like coffee because I like the taste. I wrote what I like and why I like it. A sentence ends with a period, and commas are used when we're listing things or to separate 2 ideas. So you'll notice that at the bottom of the page it says each sentence is worth 4 marks each. You get 1 mark for making a sentence, a mark for coming up with an example, a mark for using your proper punctuation, and a mark for using your proper capital letters. So think of any idea, think of the ideas that I mentioned here. You see I have an example there. Learning about the 7 sacred teachings, praying, going to a ceremony. Those are examples of spiritual growth. So let's think of one example for physical growth. Physical growth, that's our body, our physical being. So physical growth may be me going to the gym and lifting some weights, or me going for a run. That's me taking care of my body. It could even be me just growing in height. So think of some more examples and remember your sentence rules when writing your sentences. And then you're done assignment 1. Good job.